I'm so excited today because I got to interview Gillian Segal. She is the author of Getting There, one of my new favorite books. It profiles some of the most successful people of all time, and they're in industries all across the board. And you won't imagine some of the stories that these people have gone through. They face a lot of hardship, a lot of rejection, a lot of failure, a lot of tough times, from homelessness to embarrassment to working a low-tier job and seeing their friends recognize them, to not knowing where to go in life, on and on, until they achieved tremendous success. Billionaires, fitness empires, all these things, from people who were told at one point, oh, you're not worth it, or you're overweight, all these things. So I'm going to air a 2-minute really quick trailer for this book just to get you an idea about what it's about, and then off we go to the interview.
Successful people make it look so easy, but they never said it was. He was rejected by Harvard Business School. Warren Buffett is now the most successful investor in history. He was fired from 4 jobs and forced to live in his car on $2.50 a day. John Paul Dejoria co-founded the Patron Spirits Company and John Paul Mitchell Hair Systems. After bombing the law school admissions test twice, she spent 8 years working for a company that sold fax machines door to door. Sara Blakely founded the shapewear company Spanx and is now a billionaire. He pitched his television show to everyone, but it was rejected all over Hollywood. Matthew Weiner's Mad Men finally made it to the screen 7 years after it was written. In her teens, she was tormented and bullied for being overweight. Jillian Michaels now runs a health and wellness empire. After starting his own architectural practice, he was on the verge of bankruptcy for years. Frank Gehry is one of the most important architects of our age. After years of failed attempts, this former swimsuit model finally launched her own brand with a line of socks. Kathy Ireland's name now graces over 15,000 products. Yep, she's bigger than Martha Stewart. He was kicked out of 9 schools and repeatedly told that he would end up in prison. Hans Zimmer is one of the most successful composers of our time. Ever seen The Lion King? How do they do it? Find out and learn their secrets in Getting There, a Book of Mentors by Gillian Zoe Segal.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Will, as you guys all know, and here I'm today with a very exciting guest. It's Gillian Segal. Gillian Zoe Segal. And I have her book here, Getting There, and it is the most amazing book ever I've read. There's so many fascinating points I've learned, so many life lessons. And for those of you who are not familiar, she interviews many successful people of many different industries, from Warren Buffett, billionaire investor, to Anderson Cooper, to John Paul Dejoria. He's a billionaire behind Patron and Paul Mitchell, and I mean, so many different people. Michael Bloomberg behind the Bloomberg terminal, Sara Blakely, the billionaire behind Spanx, and not just business people. I mean, we have architects on here, we have composers, Hans Zimmer, and on and on and on. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I have so many questions, and I just want to get started with, out of all the people you interviewed in this book, you must have a few favorites. Do you have any that particularly stick out for you?
I do. I mean, I have to say, when I get this question, it's sort of like asking someone to pick their favorite child, because I love so many of my subjects for different reasons. I pretty much love them all. So, but I think it's difficult to have Warren Buffett in a group and not kind of favorite him a little bit. So And I don't think anyone else in that group would be offended by that because they might all say the same.
Very true, very true.
He really is in the position he's in because he deserves to be, and he has so much wisdom to offer. So he has had a really, huge impact on me. Um, and then there's other people, like there's a scientist in my book called J. Craig Venter, and he was the first person to sequence the human genome. And basically, he's helped us all so much with what he's made possible medically. And he has an incredible story. He was a terrible student. He got a D minus as his average in high school. The only way he passed was because they made him write an extra paper that no one else had to write, just so they didn't have to see his face again. Anyway, I could go on and on, but he has an incredible story, and he was really exciting for me to meet. And then there's people like Sara Blakely and Kathy Ireland, who were really incredible and inspirational. And I could, so many, you name it, and I love them. So
It's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the things I found very fascinating was how a lot of these people had such interesting childhoods that were, not ideal sometimes, whether it was, bad upbringings, or they were getting poor grades in school, or they didn't know where they were going. So I actually have a question on that. What was the most surprising thing you found about these people? Because you could go in thinking they're so successful and therefore they had, this type of childhood. But
the most surprising thing about that. Oops, that's my dog. Here, I'll get her up here so you ever. So then she won't bark. Anyway, the most surprising thing about them as a group was how many people credited early jobs in sales for giving them the skills they needed for their ultimate success. And I don't mean fancy jobs in sales, but like John Paul Dejoria, who you mentioned, he's worth billions of dollars. He's the founder of John Paul Mitchell Hair Systems, which is a line of hair care products. And also, he is the founder of the Patron Spirits Company, which makes the Patron tequila. Anyway, he was fired from about 4 different jobs. One of his jobs early in his career was that he was an encyclopedia salesman. He would go door to door. And he learned so much from that, skills, and that made him, made it possible for him to ultimately be a success. And same with Sara Blakely. She sold fax machines door to door, and she would get, escorted outside of buildings. She would have her card ripped up in front of her face, and it really gave these people a thick skin. It taught them to be immune to rejection and just get back up after being rejected time and time again. And that's kind of what you need to do to be a success in this world, because we all are going to get, rejected, knocked down. We're all going to fail, and the trick is to just get yourself back up.
Right. I mean, one of the things I loved about the book was, I thought it was so helpful to anyone around my age who's, up and coming, or they don't know where they're going in life and they're trying to figure things out. And one of the things I found common between a lot of these people was that they ultimately found something that they're very passionate about. And then the second thing was, some of them, they didn't have a clear, straight path, and they sort of just worked in a direction, but then sort of started adjusting and finally figuring out their place in life. Do you have any advice for people of the millennial generation in terms of getting to where they want to get to?
I think I think you just have to get out there and start. You can't wait until you have it all figured out, because nobody has it all figured out until they sort of see it in front of their face, you know? So basically, all the people, most of the people in my book started doing something. And the trick is to keep your eyes open for new opportunities and new possibilities. Don't be rigid. But if you don't do anything, or you just have to throw yourself into something and then keep in ready position and keep looking around, because if you keep on doing that, then something will hit and something will stick, and you have to keep trying different things and not be afraid of failing. But when I say keep trying different things, and don't give up, if something is difficult or whatever, because everything will be difficult. So I don't mean try different things like try this, and if it's hard, try something else if it's hard. You have to know that whatever it is that you ultimately do won't be easy, because nothing is easy. But which leads me to another thing, which is just do something that you enjoy or that you're passionate about, or something that gets you going, because since nothing's easy, if you hate what you're doing, or if you're doing something just because you think you should, or because your parents told you to, you won't end up doing a great job at it.
Right. So how did you, this is a very difficult list of people to get in front of anyone, really. How did you meet all these people? I actually listened to a few other interviews by you, and I think one of the things you said was, if the front door isn't open, you try the back door, and then if that's not open, you try the window.
Yeah.
So was that simply a matter of working with the what do you call it, the receptionist, the gatekeepers, and so forth, and then just trying everything you could?
Yeah, you have to know when a rejection is a real rejection or a fake one. And what do I mean by a fake one? Well, if somebody's, publicist tells you no, you don't know whether the person you're after even heard about you. But it's the publicist's job to screen people. So sometimes you might be screened, and the real decision maker wasn't the one who screened you. So basically, sometimes I would get rejected by someone, and then I'd ask somebody else, and I would get in. So it kind of taught me to not, and a friend of mine, a guy named Steve Cohen, told me, never take a no from somebody who can't give you a yes. And basically, it means don't allow a no from somebody's gatekeeper to just deter you. You don't want to be really annoying. So sometimes, you have to use your monitor whether a no is a real no or not. But often a no is just not right now, or maybe later, or that kind of a thing. And, no matter what it is, you have to be persistent and just keep on trying.